You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Clock saying it's 7. I still have 1 minute of.
So we do go live with BCTV at 7, but we'll wait obviously to start the meeting until we have a fourth commissioner.
Yep, I agree.
Brother John, this is the one. This is the right one. Sure. It's got participants, Brother John, co-host.
There you go. So you're all doing well. Lift a hand if you can hear me. Okay, good. Very good. Let us begin with a prayer.
Somebody talking right now?
Memorial
Say again?
St. Catherine of Siena.
Does anyone have like a...
Yeah, my wife has an iPad. She's leaving the room.
Oh, okay. All right.
There you go.
There.
Good evening, Suzanne.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Are you all set, Abby?
Sorry, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, and Jamie?
You're recording.
And BCT is recording. All right. Good evening. My name is Peter Basserman. I'm chairman of the Branford Inland Wetlands Commission. It is now 7:01 on Thursday, April 29th. This is a special meeting of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency. As such, the agenda is fixed, cannot be changed. We are having tonight's virtual meeting under Executive Order 7B, which is still in effect. I ask parties to keep their Zoom device muted unless speaking so that we can have good quality conversation without feedback. BCTV is with us again tonight recording. Thank you very much. You continue to do a great public service with your recording. Let's see, at this point in time, we have a quorum. There are no minutes to approve, but let's do a roll call. Suzanne Boda.
Present.
Clarice Beggerman.
Present.
Richard Grinalsh. Richard Grinalsh on mute.
Present.
Peter Basserman present. We have a quorum. All commissioners present are seated and will participate. We also have members of staff. Abby York.
Present.
And Jamie Frederick, staff.
Present.
Okay. Let's see. Any other? We have members of the public I see on the call as well. There will be an opportune time for public participation. Tonight meeting as a special meeting is relatively focused, and hopefully, given our track record of late of going well past 10:30, we can keep this one to a relatively short session. Any other administrative items that we need to go over, Jamie, at this point?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, I think we can go right into it.
Great. All right, first up this evening is an application for review, inland wetland 210302, 37 Bourbon Drive, construction of a new single-family home. We have the selection of a peer review from the proposals that we received, and that would be the first item that we need to go over. Jamie, can I turn it over to you for teeing this item up?
Sure. Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. We just had somebody join us. Is that Eric Rose?
Okay, Eric, welcome. Eric Rose is present and is seated.
Well, let's make sure it's Eric Rose first.
I see a picture.
Okay, I don't. All right. So that being noted, the peer review or the request for proposals for peer review was sent out to 7 different companies. I inquired with an 8th one and what their best contact info was, and they mentioned that they were not interested in providing proposal at this time. We received only one response or one proposal. We received a couple of responses that people were not going to submit, but so there's one proposal from Triton Environmental, and it was sent out to all the commissioners and was available in the Dropbox, and I can screen share it if people would like. Do the commissioners have any questions regarding the proposal? I did ask Triton Environmental to clarify a couple of points, particularly whether they were planning on having the review done in-house or if they would be hiring out for the soil scientist. I was informed that it would be in-house, and they provided resumes for the likely lead engineer and soil scientists, which are both in the Dropbox as well. I also asked some clarification regarding some of the fees, to which they responded. Eric cannot hear anything. Anyone else having a hard time hearing?
No.
Maybe log out and log back in. That's it. Or if you ever use earbuds, that may also do it.
Hold on, he's connecting.
Okay, Abby's got it.
I can hear now.
Okay, great. Commissioner Bassman, Jamie, what about attendance at the public hearing?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Attendance at the public hearing was part of the proposal, and they're expected to attend, and they've been informed that the public hearing is anticipated to be opened on June 10th.
And if there were multiple days, there is the fee structure such that they would be compensated for the additional time, or is that included in the proposal?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. Let me pull up the proposal real quick. I'm gonna jump down to, wait, one too far. So this was the table they provided for their fee. They broke it down into review of the application documents, the soil scientist report, the site plan, preparation of the report, attendance at the public hearing, and review of draft document decisions, which I requested clarification on that, and they clarified that was essentially review of any internal town department comments in response to anything that internal review of the application. And I have an email.
Excuse me, I interpreted that as one public hearing.
Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent. I think it kind of depends. So they've got 4 hours here. It depends on whether it's in person or remote, maybe. However, they do also provide an additional budget, or they quote that the additional rate of $172 per hour for additional hours. So if the public hearing was continued to another meeting, it is possible that it would be an additional fund, but they have provided what the rate would be for that.
Okay, thank you. Is in your assessment, having reviewed it, did it address all issues in our request for proposal?
Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent, I think after clarification of the review draft documents, that it covers what was in the requested items that the commission discussed at their last meeting.
So we would classify this as a complete response?
Yeah, Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent, I believe that is, I would say that's correct. So to clarify, they said the task described as review draft decision documents is generic and would include a review of agency or department documents and supplemental information not included in the initial application. This would include item 6 of the RFP, review of prudent and feasible alternatives offered by the applicant, and additional consideration the commission should assess if applicable, as well as summary documents developed by the Town of Branford Engineering Department.
Okay. I don't know that I have ever been in a situation where we only got one response. I guess at this point it could be assessed as making our job a little easy this evening. Is there any reason why we should not accept this response?
Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent, there's none that I can see.
Did the commission look to accept the proposal of Triton as we've reviewed it this evening?
Commissioner Granolch, I think that we're kind of put in a position that we either accept it or we don't have a peer review, so I think we should accept it.
Is that a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve, and I don't have the name of the firm in front
Triton.
of me. Can you scroll down? Yeah,
Triton
we approve
Environmental.
Triton Environmental Inc.'s proposal dated, or based on their proposal dated April 26th. And any additional information that they gave to Jamie Frederick. I make a motion that we approve them as the peer review for the project at 37 Bourbon Drive.
This is Commissioner Boda. I will second, and I'd like to add a friendly addition to the motion that we are selecting Triton Environmental because their proposal addresses the items that we enumerated at the previous meeting, and that the Triton Environmental staff is qualified to provide the peer review.
Commissioner Granolch, I'll accept that modification to my motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You don't need a roll call in this one, do we, Jamie?
She wants one.
It's best practice whenever you're making a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Granolch,
Commissioner Granolch, aye.
Commissioner Rose,
Aye.
Commissioner Boda,
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Begeman,
Commissioner Begman, aye.
Commissioner Basserman, aye. Okay,
Jamie Frederick and the Wetland Agent, just real quick to recap and or inform some of our newer commissioners. This is an extra assessment per section 19.5 D of the regulations, and it's an additional application fee that the applicant pays for. Any additional funds that are not used get returned to the applicant at the end of the review process, if there are any.
thank you. And what's the timeline now for this, Jamie, just to make sure everyone understands what goes forward from here?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. The timeline is that the, let's see, the report is due by May 14th so that we can submit it to the applicant so that they can review it and respond prior to the opening of the public hearing June 10th. So the item will be tabled at the May meeting as far as any content discussion of the review of the application, as will any further discussion at tonight's meeting. So any public comment would be provided at the June 10th meeting.
Okay. Next up, I gather that upon review of the recording from last month's meeting, it would be worthwhile to confirm or clarify the reason for holding the public hearing, given our regulations for determining such. And I think the issue got down to, well, we didn't use the word activity. Jamie, is that what I'm understanding?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. So when I was reviewing the minutes, I noticed that it said, I think, let me pull them up real quick. Motion to hold a public hearing for IW 210302 for 37 Bourbon Drive under section 9.1 of the Branford Inland Wetland Regulations, and that the commission hold the public hearing due to the likely impact to the wetlands during the construction process, as well as public interest that has been expressed to the office and at the public meeting. So the concern is that the language in section 9.1 says likely significant impact to wetlands. And then in section 10.3, it indicates that in the case of an application which received a public hearing pursuant to a finding by the agency that the proposed activity may have a significant impact on wetlands or watercourses, a permit shall not be issued unless the agency finds on the basis of the record that a feasible and prudent alternative to the proposed activity does not exist. So I just wanted to clarify whether the significant impact is what was intended. It should be sufficient to just ask the person that made the motion, which is Commissioner Boda, to state whether or not the intent was significant impact and or the impact that would trigger this review, and then have the commission general consensus say whether they agree with or accept that clarification. Or
so this is Commissioner Boda. I would then amend to significant impact, to incorporate the term significant impact, as well as what we had enumerated for the peer review of both short and long-term impacts.
Commissioner Granolch, I agree with Commissioner Boda.
Commissioner Bassman, I agree with the amendment. Commissioner Begeman?
I agree that was the intent. I agree with it.
Commissioner Rose?
I agree that was the intent in my understanding.
And I think that concludes item B. Item C, I think staff mentioned already that the public hearing will be tabled at the May meeting, and all comments associated with that application then needs to occur on the 10th of June. Other business.
Commissioner Granolch, that was my understanding.
Okay. Other business, review draft peer review checklist and provide feedback to staff. That item was in the Dropbox. And I think the intent here, we briefly discussed this at the last meeting, was, a checklist of items that we would normally include in a peer review, such that we're not reinventing the wheel every time we need to go out for RFP. It is my intent, it was my intent that this material be presented to the commissioners for their review, and that upon that review, they would forward any comments they had on that checklist to staff, and staff then would incorporate changes accordingly, and that we would discuss that at our May meeting. Does anybody have issue with that?
Commissioner Grant, I did not get a copy of that. I wonder if Amy could just email me whatever that information is. I would appreciate it.
Amy Frederick and the Wetland Agent. We'll email commissioners an email tomorrow with just so there's 2 draft checklists that I've put in the Dropbox for your consideration to take a look at. They're both documents that we already had in our files, I think back from 2018. So any comments or feedback that you have at the last meeting, one of the commissioners, I believe, mentioned the idea of a checklist. So I just pulled that out so that while it's fresh in everyone's head what the process is, we can go through and make sure it's what we want it to be and that it's as effective as it can be. So there could definitely probably be some tweaking, but we've got that to start with. Also, Chairman, there is a raised hand from a member of the public if you want to accept brief public comment.
About to recognize the member of the public to the extent that you've got some brief comments on this item. The floor is yours.
Yes, hi, this is Wayne Cook, and thanks for the opportunity to comment. I asked the Inland Wetlands Director today for a copy of the checklist, the worksheet. I personally don't have a problem with the items on it. However, I think there needs to be a third piece to this, and that is something that addresses the process and the integrity of the process that needs to be followed for a fair consideration across the board. I'm not going to get into it because I don't know if this is exactly the place, but I will make a couple of reminders. I think a few of you remember what happened 4 or 5 years ago with the peer review for Costco, which we're still in federal court considering. And for example, at no point do I think anyone would agree that the director's handwriting should appear on the peer review, particularly the last version of the peer review. So there's got to be some provision in your regulations or in your procedure that this does not happen. I don't understand that. But the same token, I think there's got to be some provision where, an opposing group's concept of how to stop a project is not inserted into the peer review by at the time, the Inland Wetlands Director. I mean, these things aren't my opinion. These things are well documented. And I think I've sent most of you a copy of this fairly, I don't know if it's thick, but it's probably about ½ inch thick binder documenting all this. So as great as your list is, it means nothing if the process is corrupt. And the process was very much corrupt 5 years ago. And I don't think anyone that looked at it with a fair mind would say otherwise. So that said, I would ask this commission to add a third part of this worksheet, and that's some ability to keep the process fair, to keep the process transparent, to keep the process accountable to everybody, and so that something like happened 4 or 5 years ago never happens again. Because that was by government standards on this level, that was a travesty. I mean, that was just outright fraud. And I would argue that until I'm old and gray and I'm getting there, but that was just fraud. So you've got to do something to protect the process. Great, you got a list. Okay, we can all follow it. But I would like to ask the chairman and any other commissioner what your thoughts are as to how to protect the process.
Well, I think we'll take those comments as we review not only the checklist, but how we want to act as a commission with peer review and the process. So as again, I mentioned brief comment tonight. Great, got the thought on the table here, and we will incorporate those things that we feel are necessary to make sure that this is a transparent process and gain the public trust.
That's fair.
Thank you for the comments.
Can I ask, does every commissioner at this point have the booklet I'm referring to? I don't know if there were new members that haven't seen it. I'm sure a few of you have it, but is there anyone that does not have the booklet I'm referring to that shows in detail what was done and how it should be fixed? Is there
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, I don't think this is the time or place for that question. We have to really stick to our agenda because this is a special meeting.
Well, I'm just asking that the chairman just said that you're going to look at all the information, and I want to provide information that you can look at. That's the only thing. If I sent you the booklets, how many commissioners are there? 9? 8?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, currently there are 7.
7? Okay, if I sent you 7 booklets, can you be sure that they're distributed amongst the commission?
Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, we can take it in as correspondence.
Okay. Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Yep. Last item on the agenda, 75-123 Hosley Road. As of right determination request, this is something that Jamie felt that would be worthwhile a discussion now because there's a element of time. And so if we could talk about this this evening as opposed to the May meeting, it might be helpful. Jamie, I'll turn that over to you.
Jamie Frederick, inland wetland agent. I was recently informed by the town engineering department that DOT is looking to put some material at Viuso Farm. So backtrack, DOT is working on a project at the intersection just east of the Guilford line, kind of up by Miller's Castle. And my understanding is they have some material from there that they're looking to bring to Viuso Farm, and that the owner of Viuso Farm is looking to modify a driveway area so that he can create a level pad for some production and storage of plant material. So let me see if I can pull up a screen share here. So the reason why I said I'd try and throw it on here so the commission could consider whether or not it's an as of right activity, given the fact that DOT is looking to move the material sooner rather than later. Sorry. Screen share. Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent. I'm sorry I didn't do an out view of the site, but for those of you that might be familiar with Viuso Farm, the main entrance is further south, with 95 on the southern side of the property. This is the most northern greenhouse on the property, and this is the driveway of concern, and it's for access to the fields. So my understanding is that what they're looking to do is so this is kind of a piecemealed map. I met with Joe Viuso out in the field yesterday to get a better feel for what he's looking to do. So one person had started this map, and that's what the green spot is. But Joe Viuso informed me that that's not where the material's going. It's going along the road in between where there's kind of like there's currently some material in this location here, which you could see in the GIS map. So what he's looking to do is bring in material and extend it around over towards the greenhouse, and I think have the road go up and around and have some storage in here and here for his plant material. All of the activity would be outside of the wetlands and water courses on the property.
This is Commissioner Basserman. Is there a definition for as of right?
Let me see if I can pull it up in. So Jamie Frederick and the wetland agent, if it's considered as of right, it would be under the farming. So
It wouldn't be here.
grazing, farming, nurseries, gardening, and harvesting of crops, and creation of farm ponds of 3 acres or less essential to the farming operation, and activities conducted by or under the authority of DEEP for the purposes of wetland or watercourse restoration or enhancement or mosquito control. The provision of this subsection shall not be construed to include road construction or the erection of buildings not directly related to the farming operation, relocation of wetlands with continual flow, filling or reclamation of wetlands, filling or reclamation of watercourses with continual flow, clear cutting of timber except for the expansion of agricultural cropland, or the mining of topsoil, peat, sand, gravel, or similar material from wetlands or watercourses for the purpose of sale.
This is Commissioner Basserman. Do we have a problem with item A1? Did you indicate it was for purposes of road?
So it says, shall not be construed to include road construction or the erection of buildings not directly related to the farming operation. Given the fact that it's for access to the fields, I think
okay.
a reasonable argument could be made that it's related to the farming operation.
Does anyone see this as a not as of right?
No, this is Commissioner Boda. Excuse me. I was going to actually make a motion based on 4.1A1 that this, what was the name of the document? It's not even, it's like a request. Judicial ruling be ruled as an as of right activity, given that the work is to for what would otherwise be described as road construction, that is directly related to the farming operation and it is occurring outside of the wetland.
Sounded like a complete motion. Is there a second?
Commissioner Rhodes, second.
Go ahead.
Any further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Begeman,
Commissioner Begeman, aye.
Commissioner Gradalch,
Commissioner Granolch, aye.
Commissioner Rose,
Commissioner Rose, aye.
Commissioner Boda,
Commissioner Boda, aye.
Commissioner Basserman, aye. Okay, that sums it up. It's half hour. But,
Motion to adjourn.
we need more of these. Right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Boda.
And
Second.
a second. Thank you, Dick. Thank you, Suzanne. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Have a good night all.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.